Lauren is the manager of Catholic School Initiatives at Step Up for Students. Lauren has served as a teacher, early childhood director, and principal at Catholic schools in Jacksonville, Florida. Students at her schools showed significant growth academically and socially. She was honored with the University of Florida Outstanding Young Alumni Award. Outstanding, go Gators, alumni as well. She was honored with, Lauren lives in Jacksonville, Florida with her husband and 2 children, and she can be reached at, and I'll put in the phone number and the email address in the chat room. All right, but without further ado, Lauren, welcome to the workshop and welcome to the Diocese of Venice, Florida.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be with you today and share some information with you guys on our scholarship programs that are available in Florida. And I will also share with you some information about how to market those programs to families in your communities. So I emailed John a comprehensive packet of marketing tips and tools for Catholic schools. So he'll pass that out after this is over, but he does have it. And I'll be going over some of the information in that packet today. But I thought we should start with an overview of the 3 scholarships that our Catholic schools take that Step Up for Student administers, because many of you may not be familiar with them. And then we'll go into how to market those scholarships. So if you have any questions along the way, feel free to ask them and let me know if there's anything that you need clarification on. But again, thank you so much for having me. So I always like to start my presentations with some trivia. So does anyone know, or can you name 2 things that Catholic school students are more likely to do than non-Catholic school students?
I'll go.
Sure.
Graduate.
Very good. Excellent, John. Yes, Catholic school students are much more likely to graduate than non-Catholic school students. They are actually the most likely to graduate of all types of schools in the nation, with over 99% of them graduating from high school. Anybody know any other fun facts?
I would say donate their time.
Yes, very good. So they're known to give back to their communities in service much more than non-Catholic school students. Catholic school students are also more likely to vote. They're more likely to go to Mass as a child with their family, and they're also more likely to go to Mass as an adult after they graduate. And Catholic school students are also more likely to go to college and graduate from college than non-Catholic school students. So there's obviously a lot of reasons to send your children to Catholic school and to support Catholic schools. And also, some people don't know this, but Catholic school students have a higher earning potential than non-Catholic school students. Okay, next question. How many students attend a Florida Catholic school as a result of a school choice scholarship program in Florida? So I'll give you a hint. In Florida, there are a total of 80,000 students in Catholic schools, and that doesn't include our preschools. But how many of those do you think are attending school on a scholarship?
Someone looks like McBride says 30,000. I was going to guess 25,000. That was my guess. Wild guess. I have no clue.
Well, if I had my prizes with me, you'd both get one because the answer is 27,000. So you were right, very close. Good guess.
27 is closer to 25 than the 30. So
okay, so then you get the prize.
Just send the prize to me.
So yes, so 27,000 students use a choice scholarship in the state of Florida to attend a Catholic school. And if you eliminate all of our preschool and early childhood students, there's about 65,000 total in grades kindergarten through high school. So it's about 1/3 of the students are using a scholarship to attend Catholic school. And this is a state scholarship. So of course our Catholic schools, they also provide scholarships and tuition help for students, but for our state scholarships, 27,000. Okay, here's a fun one. I have given this presentation to pastors, principals, superintendents, and they don't always have the answer to this. So let's see if anyone knows. What in the catechism does it say about school choice, and where is it listed in the catechism? Does anybody know their catechism? I'm not surprised. It's
The
very
director
rare that they do.
is on a conference call, otherwise I'd ask her.
So it's in section 2229, and it states that parents have the right to choose the school that best fits their child. So, and it's our job as practicing Catholics and Christians to support that right. So we want to encourage all of our families and our schools to use school choice. And we're really blessed in Florida. We have more educational options and opportunities from the state to use at Catholic schools than any other state in the nation. So we're really, really blessed, but we need to make sure that our families know that, our principals know that, and our pastors know that, because sometimes, you just don't know the whole catechism. So in the packet that John will send you, I have several quotes and facts about Catholic schools and the catechism and what are our bishops saying about Catholic education and school choice. So I encourage you to check it out after this presentation. So we're going to start with the Florida Tax Credit Scholarship Program. This is the oldest scholarship program in Florida that Step Up for Students administers. So in Florida, there are two scholarship funding organizations. One is Step Up for Students, and the other one is AAA. And what we do is we get the scholarship money either from donations or from the state, and then we administer it to families. And the families then endorse their checks over to the schools. So the Florida Tax Credit Scholarship Program was founded 20 years ago, and it is designed for children from lower income families. And families can use scholarship funds for private school tuition and fees or transportation costs to go to an out-of-district public school. And we raise this money through dollar-for-dollar tax credits to companies that donate eligible tax funds. So some of the big groups that donate to us are insurance companies like United Healthcare, and large food and beverage companies also donate to us. So if you guys are home right now and you're buying alcohol, thank you, because some of those alcohol distributors then donate to Step Up for Students. We turn their donations into scholarships, and in turn, they get a tax credit. So that's why it's called the Tax Credit Scholarship Program. And for the Florida Tax Credit Scholarship, students in grades kindergarten through 12 can qualify. So there are three things that we have to determine when a family applies. Number one is the student eligible. So are they in kindergarten through 12th grade? Number two is the household eligible. And number three is their income eligible. So these are the documents that we require from families when they are applying. For the student, we'll need to see a birth certificate or passport, and if they're in grades 1 through 12, a report card, because we need to prove what grade they're in when we give them their scholarship. So that's the first thing. Second thing is your household eligibility. So when you're filling out the application, when families are filling it out, they have to say where they live. They put their address on there, and then they have to prove to us that they and all the people in their household live there. So the easiest way to do that is with a driver's license, but they can also give us their utility bill, because that would have their name and address on it. But they also have to provide something that has their name and their children's names with the address. So one thing that we recommend that most families use is the insurance policy, because the insurance policy would have all the children's names and their address. And then the last thing that we need to determine eligibility is we have to determine their income. So we ask for the last 30 days of pay stubs from the time that they apply. Any other income that they earn, such as Social Security statements, if they have SNAP benefits, we will need proof of that. If they're receiving unemployment, we'll need proof of that. And then if we need more information, we'll ask for their prior year tax returns. But on the initial application, they do not have to put that in. And one thing I like to note, if you have a family that owns their own business, we will need a profit and loss statement from them. So those are the things that we'll require when they do their application. Does anyone have any questions about the Florida Tax Credit Scholarship Program?
I'm sorry, you may have already said that already. Well, you say Florida driver's license, so technically they would have to be a Florida resident?
Yes, they would have to live in Florida to get the Florida tax credit, yes. Mm-hmm.
And how long does it take to get residency these days? Is it 1 year? Does anyone know?
I do not know.
Deb knows.
I don't think it's a year. I hope not.
Oh, Deb.
As soon as they can establish a legitimate Florida residence with either a utility bill or something of that nature.
Hi,
Okay.
Deb.
So
How
basically,
are
as
you?
soon as they live here, hi, good to see you.
You too.
Yeah.
She's
Once they have that established, they can apply.
Ah, now I know.
Deb's one of our star principals. She probably knows more than I do.
No, no.
Okay, so next, this is a really helpful slide. And when this is over, I have this webinar recorded. So you guys can send this out to your families if you want to. But this is our newest income guidelines for next year, the year 2020, 2021. And what I like to show people is, let's say you have a family of 5 in your school. If they make up to $56,758, they will receive priority funding. So that means they'll get the scholarship first, because the law requires us to serve the poorest families first. And but they can also make up to $92,000 if they to qualify for the Family Empowerment Scholarship. So it shows you right here, it's very easy to read. You just find how many people are in the house and go sideways to determine how much money they can make. And so this is really important as a principal. If you're working with anyone in your school that does admissions or talks with families that are interested, you should have a copy of this somewhere, right? Easy for families to find, because it will tell them right away if they qualify or not. But like I said, this is available after the presentation, so don't feel like you have to write everything down. And I'd like to share some important dates. So this year in January, our Florida Tax Credit Scholarship Program opened for renewal families. So currently each family that receives a tax credit has to renew each year to prove that they still qualify. So they have to prove to us that they still come into this chart. But Senate Bill 7070 was passed this year in session, and that is now changing. So our Florida tax credit families will be able to keep their scholarship until their child graduates from high school after July 1st. So that's very exciting news. And then in February, our renewal families had processing priority. So that means we serve our renewal families first. And then beginning in March, our season opened for new families. So we're currently still open for new families, and we encourage you to have your families apply if they are eligible. Now, one of the questions that we're getting daily, multiple times a day right now, is what do I do if I have a family who lost their job or has been furloughed? Can they still qualify? And the answer is yes, they can. So when they apply, what they will do is they'll put their last 30 days of pay stubs or their last 30 days of a profit and loss statement if they own their own business. And then they will need to write a letter of special circumstance. And in that letter, it's going to say, my name is John Smith, and I recently lost my job. I was working for wherever, United Airlines, and I've been furloughed, whatever company. And then we also need them to provide a letter from that company stating that they've been fired, so that we really have proof. We can't just believe the parent. We need proof of that, so a letter from their company. And then we'll use that when we determine their annual salary. So we would know that they may have made X amount of dollars from January through March, but now they've been laid off and they're making nothing. And so that's how we determine it. We will also need to know if they're getting unemployment, because if you're receiving unemployment, that's considered income. So they will need to put proof of unemployment in there. If they have applied and not received it, they should write that in their letter, because we get that question quite a bit. But if they're receiving it, then we would need proof of that as well. So now we're going to talk about the Family Empowerment Scholarship. The Family Empowerment Scholarship is also designed for children from lower income families, and it was just created 1 year ago in July of 2019. And the Family Empowerment Scholarship is funded differently than the tax credit. So the Empowerment Scholarship is funded through the Florida Education Finance Plan, which is the money that funds public schools and public charter schools. It comes from that pot of money to create this scholarship for families who want to have a choice and send their child to a private school. And children in grades kindergarten through 12th can qualify, and families can use this money for private school tuition and fees. And this scholarship was created last year by our legislature and Ron DeSantis, because we had 15,000 kids that were on the wait list from the year prior for a choice scholarship. So we're really lucky. And this year, Senate Bill 7070 that passed in the legislature is very good because it gives us an additional 28,000 scholarships of family empowerment. So another big question that we are getting at Step Up is, what is the pandemic doing to your donations? Because as you saw previously for the tax credit scholarship, we raise that money that we turn into scholarship money for our kids. And does anybody want to guess how much money we raised last year for the Florida tax credit scholarship?
Deb knows. She has the answer.
I don't know that one. See, you do know more than me.
Take a guess, Deb. Your guess might be about closer than most people's.
I really don't have any idea. I'm honest.
$1 billion.
I'm waiting.
There you go. There's my guess.
$1 billion. It was almost $1 billion. It was actually $680 million that we raised last year for the tax credit. So a lot of money. And it's interesting. There are 18 states in America that have a tax credit scholarship, and Florida raised more than all of those states combined last year. So that gives you an idea of how blessed we are to be in Florida and to have these scholarships.
Good
and
job.
I really want our principals and our families and our pastors to know that, because it's easy to take things for granted, but we are very, very blessed in Florida to have so many options. One thing I like to note about the Family Empowerment Scholarship is there's one caveat to being eligible, and that is that a child has to be in public school the year prior, or they have to be going into kindergarten, or have a sibling that did one of those two things. So for example, if you have a kid in 3rd grade, 1st grade, and the family has a kindergartner coming in, they would qualify for the Family Empowerment Scholarship, and all of the siblings could get it. So that's one thing that we like to explain, but it makes it a little harder if you have families that have been in your school for a while, and for instance, let's say they got furloughed, they may not qualify for the Family Empowerment Scholarship because they weren't in public school the year prior, unless they have a kid going into kindergarten. So we'll go over the what do we need to determine eligibility for family empowerment. So you're going to notice that it's actually very similar to the tax credit. So for the student eligibility, we will look at, were they in public school the year prior? And we determine that based on how the family answers the questions on our scholarship application. So it's important that your families are answering correctly. And then we will need a copy of their birth certificate or passport and their report card. One thing I like to note for the Family Empowerment Scholarship is that because it's given in conjunction with the Department of Education, they do require that families have Social Security numbers. So the children and parents need to put their Social Security number into the application if they want to be considered for family empowerment. If they don't have one, or if they don't want to put it, that's fine, but they won't be eligible for family empowerment. They would only be eligible for the tax credit. So we always like to tell families that, because it's new. The Family Empowerment Scholarship is new this year, and there are little nuances between the two, but that's one of them. So if you have families that are interested, encourage them to put that Social Security number in so they could be eligible. And then for household eligibility, it's the same as the tax credit, which is we determine where they live, and we need proof that everyone lives in their house. And then income eligibility, same thing. We need their last 30 days of pay stubs or their last 30 days of profit and loss statement, any other income that they receive. And we may ask for their tax returns at a later date after they put their application in if we have any additional questions. Any questions about the Family Empowerment Scholarship? So as I said, well, I don't know if I told you, but this year we gave 18.
Oh, Lauren got frozen.
Yes.
Oh no. She was so excited. Come back, Lauren. Come back. All right, Lisa, you'll have to pick it up from here. Lisa, go.
I know nothing. I know nothing to tell you about this, but what I know as a parent. I know that this will be an essential resource for parents, administrators. Lauren's an amazing presenter. I've been taking screenshots the whole time, just trying to learn for myself. So
Don't need to take screenshots. I'm going to, all this is being
Gonna send us to.
plus the
Good.
presentation files will be uploaded too.
Good.
I just sent the link in the chat. Oh, it looks like Lauren logged out. Hopefully she'll come back in a moment.
Good. I was just going to say with the family empowerment scholarships, we really try to encourage our preschoolers going into kindergarten to apply for Step Up, because they're the group that they really look at for family empowerment. And then we also encourage our families, even if they have a child already in the school, if they have a kindergartner coming in, to really look at that, even if they exceed Step Up a little bit by the FTC.
Excellent. Oh, good. She's back. Welcome back, Lauren.
Hi, everyone. I'm back.
That's all right.
Okay, yes. Sorry, my internet died. Isn't that just wonderful when you
It's
have...
It's the way it is.
but I'm back, so yeah.
It's part of the fun. Joseph can tell you a great story about his presentation later.
Okay, good. Okay, I'm coming right back on. Let me share my screen. Sorry about that. All right, there we go. And we'll get back to, let's see here. Okay, back we go. All right, so I was just about to explain to you guys about the Gardiner Scholarship. So the Gardiner Scholarship is for children with unique abilities. That's what we like to call it. Other people might call it special needs. So it was named after former Senate President Andy Gardiner, and this is a picture of him and his son, Andy Jr. So little Andy is now actually 15, which is amazing. And Senate President Andrew Gardiner is still very involved with school choice, and he comes out to a lot of our events to advocate for more funding for the Gardiner Scholarship. And as I told you, it's designed for children with unique abilities, and I will show you all of the disabilities that qualify in just a moment. And the great thing about the Gardiner Scholarship is that parents can customize their child's education. So the Gardiner Scholarship can be used for multiple things. You could use it for private school tuition and fees, therapy, curriculum, technology, and it can also be saved for a college savings account, which is pretty amazing. And the Gardiner Scholarship is more money than the tax credit. It's an average of $10,000. So if you have a child in elementary school, usually our tuition might be $7,000, and they can save that $3,000 if they wanted to either use for extra therapy. They could pay for an assistant in the classroom if they need it. They could pay for tutoring, or they could save it and use it to send their child to college. So it's really, really wonderful. I think a lot of our Catholic school families are not aware of the great benefit that Gardiner has. And something that I like to always mention to our principals is the Gardiner Scholarship can also be used for families that homeschool their child. So if you have a family that may have some typically developing kids in your school, but they might have a kid that is homeschooled because they have a severe disability, you'll want to let them know about the Gardiner Scholarship, because they could use money to buy curriculum or technology for their child at home if they can't come to your school. So when we're looking at the Gardiner Scholarship, we're going to check, is the student eligible, and is it eligible for the funding? So one of the big things about the Gardiner Scholarship is that there's a lot of different things you can buy based on the law with your scholarship. And so we have to determine if what they want to buy is covered under the law. For example, you could buy an iPad for your child to use at school or at home to learn. And actually, you could even buy a TV if you could tell us how that's going to be used for education. So, but if they wanted to pay for music lessons from their next door neighbor, that would not qualify because it's just not part of the law. So we have to determine, is it eligible? So here's the important slide. What are the qualifying disabilities? So you can see there's 17 of them. And one that I always like to point out is anaphylaxis. So if you think of all the kids in your schools or kids you know that have an EpiPen who are truly, really allergic, they would qualify. Autism spectrum disorder, deaf, Down syndrome, dual sensory impaired. So that could be a kid that might have ADHD and gifted, that those kids would qualify. A high-risk child. So high-risk children, a lot of times if kids are born prematurely, when they're 3, 4, and 5, they're deemed high risk, and then they receive extra funding, or they might have an IEP from the public school. If they want to come into your school, they could use the Gardiner Scholarship. And let me see. Oh, another one that some of our kids are qualifying for are rare diseases. So if you think of kids in your school that might have a rare disease, they could qualify. So I encourage you to share this with your families, because a lot of our families are not aware that this scholarship is available and that you can use it at our Catholic schools. And one question that we get a lot is, what if we have a kid that comes in and we can't meet their needs? Their needs are greater than what we can provide. That's fine. You would just have that conversation with the family and say, your child would be better served in a different school. We don't have the resources that they need to be successful, and that's okay.
Lauren, sorry to interrupt. Deb raised her hand.
Hi, Deb.
I just have a quick question. For Gardiner Scholarship, do they have to have been in a public school for a year? We have a child who actually is going deaf. I mean, she came into us in pre-K kindergarten fine. First grade, her hearing started going. Now she's double hearing aids and the hearing, but she does very well in school. She's a very bright girl. Would she qualify for Gardiner because of the extra services she's needing? So family could apply for her even though she's been with us.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
So Gardiner is not, you do not have to be in public school the year prior, which is pretty amazing. And
great.
one
Thank
fun fact about Gardiner, you might remember that the tax credit and family empowerment are only kids in grades kindergarten through 12. So when they start kindergarten and they graduate high school, they're done. The Gardiner scholarship can start at age 3 and they can keep it until age 22. So the ages are a little bit different for the Gardiner scholarship.
Perfect.
So we'll talk about this. Deb, you'll want to pay attention here. So for the Gardiner scholarship, here's what we need to check. 1, are they a Florida resident? And we do have many, many people who move here from another state just because of the Gardiner scholarship. It's quite amazing. Now that I've been working with families across the state, they come here because we have this available, which is pretty amazing. So we'll need proof of residency. Then we'll need the proof of the child's age and grade level. And then in order to show us, do they have a qualifying disability, they can put one of two things. It can either be a doctor's diagnosis or it can be listed on their IEP. Either one of those would count. So for a kid with anaphylaxis, they should be able to say to their doctor, I want to apply for this scholarship and I need a letter diagnosing my child with anaphylaxis. And when they put that in the portal, that would qualify. That would make them qualify. And then, as I told you before, we have to check if what they want to buy is eligible for funding. And so these are the types of things that we'll need to see from them. So we need to figure out what type of school are they in. So if they're in a private school, we'll need a letter of admission. If they're withdrawing from a private school, we need that information. We need to know if they cannot be in public school. So we'll need proof that they're not in public school. So those are the things that we'll need. And then we also require a notarized sworn compliance statement. So basically they have to send us a notarized statement saying that they're going to follow the law and buy things that are eligible. And this used to be quite a burden for our families because they had to go find someone to notarize a form and then upload it. But thankfully in January, we were able to get something passed where they can just do a notarized statement on our website. So they do not have to actually get a form signed, which is wonderful. So it's like online notary, and that's now valid for the Gardiner scholarship. So our families have been very thankful for that. It saves them a lot of time. And so the important dates for the Gardiner scholarship. So this year we opened for new families and renewal families in March. So each year Gardiner scholarship families do have to renew their scholarship. And then we will, on June 30th, and this is based on the law, we will provide scholarships to renewal families first. And then the second group that gets priority are waitlisted families. So currently for the Gardiner scholarship, last year we had about 2,000 students on the wait list. And we were really, really blessed that we got additional funding. We got an additional $42 million for the Gardiner scholarship, which will allow us to cover those kids that were on the wait list. But Deb, for example, you were talking about this family that has a child that's now deaf or going deaf. There's a chance that she could get the scholarship, but most likely she'll go onto a wait list for 1 year and then she could get the scholarship next year. But we encourage you guys to have them apply because you will get priority if you're on the wait list. So even if she gets on the wait list this year, sometimes scholarships open up in December or in March, and we are constantly awarding. As kids come off, we put more on, and when funding's available, we give it to them. So it will help if they apply now.
Lauren, we got a question from Julie.
Sure.
She asked, are there checks and balances post-distribution in place to ensure that these funds are used appropriately?
So that is an excellent question. Yes. So at Step Up, we have a whole portal. It's called My Scholar Shop, and families get a login for that. And that's where they put what they want to buy. And we have a portal where they can buy things for a discounted rate. So we have like a partnership with Best Buy. And if they needed to buy an iPad, they can do it right through Best Buy very quickly and easily. Or if they want to buy something, then they can submit for a reimbursement. And we determine if what they want to get reimbursed for is eligible under the law or not. We have a whole team that does that. Very good question. Any other questions about the Gardiner Scholarship? Fabulous. So your families will want to know these two things. This is our website and our phone number. So we have a great call center. If they have questions, if they want to know, did they put everything in their application? Are they eligible? Whatever questions they have, they can call our call center at any time, visit our website. I do recommend on our website, if you go to stepupforstudents.org, there's a little chat box and you can type your chat questions into someone. It's really fast and easy. So if they have a computer, they can do that as well. And our income-based scholarship applications are mobile friendly. So I always like to encourage you guys to tell your families they can apply using their phone. And it's really helpful because when it says that we need their last 30 days of pay stubs, they can take their phone, take a picture of their pay stubs and upload it right into their portal, which saves some time and effort because sometimes scanning things is hard. So that concludes my overview of the scholarships. Does anyone have questions about the scholarships before I move on to how to market the scholarships in your schools and communities?
This is just for my information, Laura. Of the scholarships that you listed, which one is used the most, just from your experience, or which one do you get the most questions about?
So the most popular scholarship in Florida, because it's the largest, is the tax credit. So we had 100,000 kids on the tax credit scholarship last year. And then we had 18,000 on family empowerment, and we had 14,000 on Gardiner. So just based on numbers, the tax credit is the one we get the most questions about.
And also, and again, I'm just so new at these scholarships, can a family be qualified for more than one of these scholarships, or do they have to pick one?
Excellent question. Yes, you can only get one scholarship. And if you get one of these scholarships, you cannot go to public school. Otherwise, you'd be using different pots of money. So good question, but no, you can only have one.
I
have a question. This is Lorraine.
Hi, Lorraine.
Hi. What if you have, let's say you have two children, but one has special needs and the other, and you still meet the income guidelines? So would I still be able to get Gardiner and FTC?
Yes. Yep. So you would apply for the tax credit scholarship for your typically developing child if you qualify. And I would recommend, if you guys have a family that this fits, that you put both your kids on that application, because they're likely going to go onto a wait list for Gardiner. So then you're going to go into the Gardiner application and do that application for your child with a unique ability. And then even if they get onto a wait list this year, they could take the tax credit until they get off the wait list. So in order to help your families be able to afford Catholic school, they should apply for everything that they qualify for and then see which one they get. Because there's a good chance they'll go on a wait list for Gardiner.
Okay. I have a quick question. I don't know. We have a family from Czechoslovakia. They're here on an F1 visa. Right now, they've been told by immigration that they have to go back to Czechoslovakia and then come back in again because of coronavirus and everything going on. I don't quite understand what's happening. But anyway, she's very concerned that in the fall, depending on what's happening, they may not be able to come back in right away. They want to try to get back over as fast as they can. Her question is that she does have a step-up scholarship. Can she do virtual learning with St. Joe's while she's in that period of transition trying to get back in?
Excellent question. We're getting that question a lot.
We
now
may
with
hit
the
that
virus.
with some of our families that are being asked to leave. So that's,
Yes.
but then they're told they can
Wow.
re-enter, which is a strange situation. But we're kind of trying to monitor that.
Well, one note is that for the tax credit scholarship, they do not have to be a citizen. You don't have to have a social security number, and you could still
Correct.
qualify. You just have to be able to prove that you live in Florida. So,
Mhm.
but currently the law states, except for right now through the end of this school year, you have to be in school to get the scholarship. So they cannot get the scholarship and be learning from home at this moment. The current waiver, so the governor and the commissioner of education gave us a waiver through the end of this school year. The question is, will he also extend the waiver into the fall? We don't know yet. At this moment, she would need to be in, except Deb, if you are following what's written in your handbook. So for
Mhm.
schools that get over $100,000, I'm sorry, 250,000, I think,
250, right.
from the state, they have to do an audit each year. And one of the things that will be audited are the kids coming to school. And what they're going to look at is, what does your handbook say about attendance? And are you following
Okay.
it for every child fairly? So I would say to the family that most likely they would not be able to unless we receive a waiver for the virus. And we don't know yet.
Okay. Okay.
We're hoping that we will, but we just don't know yet.
Okay. Thank you. That's helpful.
I have a question for you, Lauren. This is so helpful. I might have missed it because I took another call. Did you mention the McKay Scholarship, or how does that interplay with Step Up for Students? And can you apply for that and the others at the same time?
That's an excellent question. So I did not talk about McKay because Step Up doesn't work with McKay. That's given only through the Department of Education. But if a child in your school it comes from public school, they have to be in public school the year prior with an IEP or a 504 plan, they would qualify for the McKay Scholarship. And they can use that as one of their scholarships. So yes, as soon as they get that IEP or 504 plan, they qualify for McKay. So if they choose to use that, that's fine. But if they wanted to apply for one of these other scholarships, they can do that as well.
Thank you.
They can't have both. They can only have McKay or Gardiner or McKay or tax credit. You can't have multiple.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so I have more for you if you guys want. I have another presentation that will share some information about marketing, and I have a really exciting video to show you. I think you're gonna love it, Deb. I can't wait for you to see it because I just know you're gonna love it. So when I made it, I thought of my great principals like Deb, so hopefully you will. Let's see here. So I'm gonna put this one on. Okay, so now we're gonna talk about how do you share this information with your families, and think about your pastors, think about people in your churches. Don't just think about the families that are in your schools. But I'm sharing some more facts with you because I think that the more the people in your office know facts about Catholic schools, the easier it will be to share with families why you should send your child to a Catholic school. So some facts that you may not know or you might know is that Catholic schools operate as communities instead of bureaucracies. And so that's one of the reasons a lot of our families come to Catholic school and our teachers, because they love that they can really teach. I'm sure you've heard that from teachers before. Students are engaged and students are loved. And then of course we get to teach the faith, which is an added bonus. And then the Catholic school climate and mission positively impacts student achievement. Graduates of Catholic schools are more likely to vote. And then there was a lot of research done by the University of Notre Dame on low-income Catholic school students. And why do students who go to Catholic schools who come from low-income families do better? And so the parents said that they feel like they were able to take a more active role in their Catholic school than they were in their public school. And it gives their children a chance to break the cycle of poverty. So. And then I am going to share with you some really great quotes about choice from the church. So the Gravatium Educationalis is a big, huge paper that talks about Catholic schools. And it's really interesting, but they basically say that pastors and the faithful of your church should spare no sacrifice in helping Catholic schools fulfill their function in a more perfect way, especially for caring for the needs of those who are poor and the goods of this world. So you probably know that a lot of our Catholic schools do tons of service, which is great. But if you really read this and you think about it, how are our Catholic schools serving our low-income families? Are they letting them in? Are they accepting kids with the tax credit scholarship? Are they serving those children well? So I just thought that was a good one to share. And then there's a really great article called "The Catholic School on the Threshold of the Third Millennium." If you haven't read it, I encourage you to. It's kind of deep. It might put you to sleep, but it's interesting. And I have more quotes about this in the paper that John will send you afterwards. But financial strain can result in the exclusion from Catholic schools for those that cannot afford to pay, and we don't want to do that. So basically what they say is we need to get the message out that Catholic school is a school for all are welcome, and it's really important to share that. We in Florida are so blessed because we have the ability to give these families a seat and get money for it. Many schools don't have that option, so we're really, really blessed on that. So I'm going to share a video now that we've been working on. This is the one I was telling you about, Deb, that is of Bishop Barbarito, and he's talking about scholarships. This can be shared on social media. We're going to share it through all the dioceses, the parishes, and this just got finalized today, actually, so hopefully you'll like it.
Hello, I'm Bishop Gerald Barbarito, the Bishop of the Diocese of Palm Beach.
Lauren, can you turn up the volume? It might be coming through your headphones. You might have to unhook your headphone.
Okay.
That's why I realize this is a difficult time for the Catholic education. Barbarito, the Bishop of the Diocese of Palm Beach, and also the Episcopal moderator for the Catholic Education Committee of the Florida Conference of Catholic Bishops. And that's why I'm speaking to you today. I realize this is a difficult time for all of us with the coronavirus, and we're adjusting to it and working with it in many different ways. And I want to assure you at the very beginning of my continued prayers in this regard. One of the things that you may be facing are financial difficulties, and understandably so. And I would like to speak to you today about scholarship programs, wonderful scholarship programs, which could assist you, which assist our Catholic students in our Catholic schools here in the state of Florida. We have 240 Catholic schools in Florida, and they are wonderful schools filled with staff who are committed to their students in every fashion of their lives. You may ask, what is the importance of Catholic schools? Did you know that 99% of the students graduate from a high school? Most of them go on to a college, and most of them graduate from college. Did you know that our Catholic school students are very involved with civil matters, civil issues, and that most of them go on to vote as citizens? Did you know that most of our students from Catholic schools continue their practice of Mass with their own families later in years? These are just some of the reasons why Catholic schools are so important and give so much to the lives of our students. We are fortunate that in the state of Florida, there are scholarship programs, not known by everyone, which are available to our Catholic school students under the Step Up for Students program here in Florida. The Florida Tax Credit Scholarship and the Family Empowerment Scholarship are two of these scholarships, which help our students with tuition and with other matters. One has to simply be making up to $78,000 a year or less to be able to apply for these scholarships. Under the Gardiner program, there are also scholarships available to those students who have special needs. These needs are very important for our students, and we need to assist them in regard to helping them with assistance which is available to them. Autism, Down syndrome, anaphylaxis are but some of the 17 special needs which these scholarships will assist. I ask you to consider seriously applying for these scholarships for your children or for someone who may be interested in a Catholic school education. We are grateful that these scholarships are available, and we want to make the best use of them. I also ask you to apply as soon as possible because the scholarships are limited. You can find out more information upon this by going to the website, stepupforstudents.org, as well as just calling the office to get the information. Again, it's a pleasure to address you, and we want to give thanks for the fine schools that we have. Do all we can to support them, especially in taking advantage of these scholarships which are available. God bless you all.
So we have been working really hard at Step Up with my team. Oh, sorry. How do I? Okay, with Step Up to give you guys some more options and ways to share about scholarships with your families. So this will be coming out soon. Hopefully you like it. And then I have one other thing to show you, but I just have to go here on my computer. Okay, so this flyer, we created this flyer in December, because the flyers that are shared by Step Up this year include the Hope Scholarship and and the Reading Scholarship, which are two that our Catholic schools don't take. So we wanted to make something that was just for you guys. So this is the Catholic school flyer. And I don't know, Deb, if you've gotten any at your school, but maybe not yet. So these are available, and it's just a flyer that shows information, and then the two scholarships that we accept, which are three really: tax credit, empowerment, and special needs Gardiner scholarship. And then we have a special website called stepupforstudents.org/Catholic. So I'm just going to show you what that website looks like. We've made that just for our Catholic schools, which is pretty cool. And it matches the flyer. So when you go on here, you're really going to the Step Up website, but it matches our flyer. And then you can go down and families can learn about each of the scholarships, whichever one they need more information on, or they can apply. So we thought that was really useful for you guys. We hope it's helpful. And we're also working on another flyer at this time. It's not ready to share yet, but it will have on here the income guidelines for some of the families right here on the flyer.
Is that available as a PDF at this point?
Yes, ma'am. Yep.
Good, thank you.
Deb, you should have gotten an email last week that said, are you interested in marketing your school? And
okay.
Available. So this flyer was in that email from last week from Step Up.
Okay, I saw that, but I don't think it registered that it was a new flyer. So
yeah,
I will go back and pull it up. I still have it. Yeah. Thank you.
This flyer is available, and we're working on another one, like I said, that will have the income guidelines on here as well.
Okay,
so
good.
Currently, we have a lot of families that are a lot of scholarship money available. So that's why we're really pushing to help you guys. We know that this is a really hard time. It's a really unknown time. You don't know what a lot of your families are going to do in August. So we want to help you share with your families that there's help available in Florida, which is pretty amazing. Now, I did have another video to share, but it's about 15 minutes. And I think you guys could watch it on your own. I sent it to John. I've sent it to John's email, so he has it in a link. And it's a marketing video that we created for you guys that shares how to market your school. Many of you probably do most of what we have, but we do have a marketing toolkit that's available. And all of that will be on the marketing video that John has. And so that really ends it for me. I'm happy to answer questions if you guys have anything you want to talk about before we go.
Julie has a question. She said, is there a toolkit available for schools to begin to post content for this, or an email or social media or digital marketing type thing?
Yes, there is. So let me see here. I'm trying to figure out how to unshare my screen and see the chat box. I'm not so good at Zoom. Let's see. Do you know? No. Hold on one.
Yeah, if you scroll down, you should be able to stop sharing. Like if you put your mouse toward the bottom of the screen.
Oh, no.
Did it pop up? No.
I don't see it, but John, I can email it to you and then maybe you can put it in the chat box. Sorry,
sure. Yeah, that's fine. Send me it now and I'll put it in the chat box.
Oh, maybe that's it. Okay.
I have one quick question. I promise my last one. The video is great. I appreciate that you did that. Is there any thought in doing now a version in Spanish for our Spanish families? Since
Very
we have
good
so many?
question. Yes, ma'am. We have it in Spanish as well. So
perfect.
when you check your email, you'll see it. Yeah, you'll see it.
Good.
There it is, marketing toolkit. Here it is. It's just it's on our website, Julie, stepupforstudents.org/marketing toolkit. But I will email this to you, John, so you'll have it.
Thank you.
But yeah, so anyways, if you
Thank
guys
you.
have, I'm really thank you for all that you do for our families and for being here today and for learning and sharing. And I look forward to seeing what you do. And if there's anything else I can do to help you, feel free to reach out, email me, whatever you need. Hi, Joseph, how are you?
Doing well, how are you?
I love you. You know, I donated to your school because of all your great social media work just this week. Yeah. I love Incarnation. You guys are awesome. I don't think I met
that just made my day. Thank you so much.
I don't know. You don't know me, but I've been to your school quite a few times. I love it. It's wonderful.
Oh, very cool. I look forward to getting to connect with you. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, you too.
Good.
Awesome. Okay, well, I'm sending this over, John, and I appreciate you guys. I hope you have a wonderful day, and thank you for having me, and hopefully I'll see you in another one of these sessions, because I'm going to try to come.